Yoma Daf Gimel. Today's email comes from R Eli from Toronto. If you want to hear the entire email, as I am working on my Anova these days, please tune in to the regular shir, but I'll read some of it. A good friend of mine, Sterling Wolf, first introduced me to your shir back in Brachas. However, I must say I was turned off. I thought to myself, who is this guy that spends the first 10 minutes of every shir reading emails about how great he is? Fast forward more than a year, and I found myself learning Yoma, yearning for pictures to better visualize the Beis Hamikdash and the Avodah. I decided to give you shir another try. The day that I joined happened to be the episode when you introduced your sefer Gaiva Elio. I found myself this time being more intrigued and turned off, and decided to roll with it. And boy, was I wrong! You're the opposite of Gaiva. Okay, I'm not going to go into all the shvachim. Tune in to the regular shir. You'll hear it for yourself. But he goes on to say that MDY is a family and it's heartwarming, and he finishes off and he says, your new Talmud, a new member of the MDY family, R Eli, Toronto, Canada. Thank you, R Eli. So Yoma Daf Gimel, as we were discussing yesterday, in the Parsha of Paraduma, you can take every pasuk and, as the Gemara calls it, mashma moitzi miyad mashma, or mashma memela. Each pasuk could be the opposite of the one before, or it could just keep on going. So let's continue with the psukim in the parsha. It says, "B'shachat oisa lefanav." This particular paraduma you shecht. It means that you cannot shecht a second one with it. Let's say even if you have a very long knife, it's not with it exactly, it's because that we already said you can't. But you can't shecht two at once. Lefanav, according to Rav, as we said the other day, you shouldn't have a heschadas. According to Shmuel, it means that a Yisrael is shechting. Even a Yisrael could shecht in front of Elazar. V'lokach Elazar. Now, according to both Rav and Shmuel, this is mighty. This is the opposite of what we just said. According to Rav, it means even a kohen had it, and according to Shmuel, it means from Kabbalah's dam, it's only be'elazar, and not like we said before, there could be Yisrael. The lokach hakohen eitz erez. According to Rav, you need a kohen. So he's continuing with the same person he was talking about before, so it's memela. According to Shmuel, it comes to include a kohen headed. So therefore, he's a mighty. He's taking away from what before we were talking about as gan kohen, now we're talking about a regular kohen. V'chibe is begadav hakohen, and he washes his clothing. The first para that ever existed needs that the kohen should wear bigdei kahuna. V'tamei hakohen ad ha'erev teaches us that even in future generations you need to wear bigdei kahuna. V'azav ish tahar es efer hapara v'hiniach. So the Gemara directions ish comes to include Zar Yisrael could gather the ashes. Tar comes to include a woman. V'niach is to come to exclude a cheresh shaita v'katan. So that's a mighty. It's different from what we spoke before. V'lakhu l'tamim mefar sreifas achatos v'nasan olav. According to Chachamim, v'lakhu, it's to tell us that only a person who's kosher to gather the ashes is kosher to add the water, mix it with the ashes. V'lakhu v'nasan, the different lashon, plural and singular, is coming to teach us that it doesn't matter if it's one person or two people that do the lekicha, do the nesina, but that you don't need that the same person does both the lekicha and the nesina. So that's memela. It's the same people that we're talking about before. Rabbi Yehuda says moitzi. We're going to do the opposite. V'lakhu comes to say a katan in this case is kosher. V'nasan, the woman who was okay before, now she cannot do it. Ish tahar in azah. According to both of them, we're being moitzi, which is the opposite of how they each Rabbi Yehuda and Chacham learned before. According to Chacham, ish comes to exclude a woman, tahar comes to include a katan. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the opposite. Ish comes to exclude a katan, who before he said a katan is okay, and tar is to say that a woman is good now. Ravasi says, Rabbi Yochanan or Shlokish, when they were going through the parashas, as I mentioned yesterday, they're going through the psukim, all they were able to come up with is like a fox walking through a plowed field. In other words, there's no food, only a bunch of dust. They couldn't figure out how to conform the parasha, and therefore some psukim contradict each other, some go. Bihiza hatar. It's mashma that he's a little bit tamei. In other words, we're talking about a tvul yom that just went to the mikveh today. He's waiting for her shemesh. Nevertheless, he's kosher to do the hazah of the para. Rabbi Yochanan holds that all shchitas are kosher with a Yisrael, even that of a paraduma. And he's so strong about his opinion that he argued with his own Rebbe. The Gemara continues. In the second vidui, as the Mishnah says, the Kohen Gadol adds, Ubnei Aaron Am Kedeshecha. Why? Because first, you need a kapara for yourself, and once you have a kapara for yourself, you could ask for other people. Brand new Mishnah. So he shechs his cow, his bull, the Kohen Gadol, and he receives the blood. But he has to give it to somebody else to continue mixing the blood so that the blood doesn't congeal. And then he goes to do other stuff. Where does he stand, this person congealing the blood? On the fourth step, the fourth row. As we'll see tomorrow exactly where that is, but it's outside of the Heichal. He goes on top of the Mizbeach with a shovel, and he goes through the coals to look for the glowing coals, and he brings them down, and he needs these coals for the ketores, and he puts the coals down next to the person mixing the blood on the fourth row, Beroiv the Revi. The continuation of the Mishnah we're going to explain tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem, in the next few daf, and we're going to talk about how Yom Kippur is different than the rest of the year, that the shovel is different, the amount of different fires on the Mizbeach, the Kiddush Yadayim Reglaim was done differently, was with the Kli. The Kohen Gadol goes off up the middle of the ramp, not on the side. Have a wonderful day.